So today I'm going to be discussing a schematic I've made for acute leukemias. So in order to be diagnosed as an acute leukemia, the person has to have greater than 20% blasts in their blood, so greater than 20% immature cells. So that's the thing that differentiates between acute and chronic leukemias. In acute, we have the immature white blood cells. So then acute leukemia can be further subdivided into AML and ALL, acute myelocytic and acute lymphoblastic. So AML is composed of myeloblasts. So these are precursors to red blood cells, platelets, neutrophils, monocytes. Those are the cells that float in your blood, and once they enter tissue, they're called macrophages, eosinophils, and basophils. Lymphoblasts are precursor to B cells, T cells, and natural killer cells. So AML here will stain positive for MPO, so that's myeloperoxidase, and when you stain with that, you sometimes find hour rods. A lot of the times on board exams, it seems like they show pictures of hour rods, so there are these crystal shapes that come up on MPO stain. And you'll have greater than 20% immature myeloid cells. This AML happens mostly in older adults, versus ALL, on the other hand, it happens mostly in children, and it stains positive for TDT, which is a DNA polymerase. So MPO, AML, MPO, TDT for ALL. So it's the other one. And this is associated with Down syndrome, and it's diagnosed in children with Down syndrome after the age of 5. Okay. So back to AML. AML can be further subdivided into 3 categories as well: acute promyelocytic leukemia, acute monocytic leukemia, and acute megakaryocytic leukemia. Megakaryocytic leukemia. So APL is due to a translocation of the retinoic acid receptor on chromosome 17 onto chromosome 15. So the retinoic acid receptor is necessary for cell maturation, so because it's a receptor for vitamin A, and as you know, vitamin A is necessary for cell differentiation and maturation. If that's not working because it's been translocated onto a different chromosome, we're not going to have cell maturation, so we're stuck with these blast cells, right? So to treat this, patients are given ATRA, or all-trans retinoic acid, and it's a form of vitamin A that induces cell differentiation. So it forces these cells to mature so that they're no longer producing a leukemia. And it should be noted that there's an increased DIC risk with this. The second AML is acute monocytic leukemia. So actually I should note these next two. So the acute monocytic and the acute megakaryocytic leukemias both lack MPO. So AMLs typically stain positive for MPO. These guys don't have MPO. Okay, and then the monocytic usually infiltrates the gums. So that's what's unique about that one. And the megakaryocytic is associated with Down syndrome, and it's diagnosed before the age of 5. So babies with Down syndrome that are diagnosed with leukemia are usually going to have acute megakaryocytic leukemia, a form of AML. Children with Down syndrome diagnosed after the age of 5 are usually going to have acute lymphoblastic leukemia, so ALL. And then, so ALL has 2 categories of its own. So it has BALL and TALL. So immature B lymphocytes and immature T lymphocytes. So BALL is associated with children and adults. So babies and adults, so you can think B for babies. And then TALL is associated with teenagers, so T for teen. And BALL is going to have CD10, 19, and 20, so B cell markers, and it has excellent response to chemo. TALL is going to have all these T markers, so it's for teens. It's going to have a thymic mass frequently. If it has the thymic mass, it will be called an acute lymphoblastic lymphoma because it's a mass. So once we have a mass, it's going to be called a lymphoma. And it's going to be positive for CD2 through 8. So CD2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, and then BALL is further subdivided into two types. So one is going to have the translocation between chromosomes 12 and 21. This happens in children and has a good prognosis. The other kind is the T922 translocation. So that's called the Philadelphia chromosome. This happens in adults. And if you recognize this, the Philadelphia chromosome is a fusion between BCR and ABL. And so this produces a tyrosine kinase that's always on. And so it's always inducing cell transcription. So that leads to uncontrolled cell division. And that's pretty much it. My next video will probably be on chronic leukemias. So just to note, this Philadelphia chromosome is also going to come up again. So this is only one disease that has it. The other, more commonly known, is chronic myelogenous leukemia. So, but this is also one, the form of ALL can have Philadelphia chromosome. Alrighty. Thank you guys. Let me know if I misspoke at all or if there was any incorrect information. Please feel free to correct it. Thank you.